All right, guys, so we finally made it back, and we've been promising this project for a long time. And essentially, it's just to rediscover those kids that have walked the halls of the high school, the greats, the creatives, the champions, the people that left their mark literally and figuratively, and get to know them, not just as a distant memory, but actually record them and archive them. Today, we're very, 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 very lucky to have Mrs. Dolores Rodriguez, who, if you don't know, is our student council sponsor. She does art classes, she teaches art, and she also works with the art club as a sponsor. There's a lot more to say, but I just wanted to say hello. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Welcome to the show. I've known you for a long time. I met you through an older acquaintance, and I later on got to work over here. I used to work at CC Win, and I through him I learned about your murals and your artwork, and I've been seeing them beautify C Wing. I have C Wing duty sometimes, and I love coming here because I get to see these beautiful art pieces and stuff like that. And I wanted to see. I got my phone actually, and I wanted to show you some of the images and ask you about those kids and the art pieces. So the first mural I would like to kind of archive and historicize here digitally is the one with the ballet folklorico, with the Dia de los Muertos, all these other representations that symbolize us. I wanted to ask, how did you all get the pictures for that? Or who chose the images, and how did you guys piece it together? Whose responsibility was that?
It was a joint effort between the students and myself. And this particular year, usually I was used to working with 30, 40 students on a mural. This particular year was, there's that odd year where suddenly everybody graduates and you're left behind with a very small crew. And I was afraid that we were not going to be able to make it. So it was really like 4 or 5 students and myself. We got together and we decided that we were going to go with a Mexican theme. And we would sit down and just go through the computer and select photos, and then, just kind of, that's how we went. We started printing out pictures and then playing with them, and then it just falls together. It's like
Piece by piece.
Piece by piece, yeah.
Students,
it's
teachers.
Not really planned. It's just very organic. It just starts happening. And the student says, how about this picture? How about that picture? And it's it's basically a collaboration between the students and myself.
And I loved it because I was going through the images, and I see the backdrop, and clearly 2 things popped out to me. One is you're not in this room. Where were you all before? How did y'all fit all those things in there?
This particular one, we were in BO4 before Miss Desma Rodriguez went in.
Oh, that's the room.
That was my room.
Really? Because there's 2 little offices. There's that's right.
That was my room. That was where my office is. That's where I would keep some of the material. But we were jammed.
Oh.
I would have full classes. And then the walls were lined up with the boards, and we'd have for everything. It was a labor of love, let me tell you. And it was a lot of hard work because anytime I needed something, I have to move all the boards back and forth, all day long, constantly. And then after school, as soon as the bell rang, those kids would just come in and start working. And then it got to a point as we got close, because it would take months to produce these.
Yeah.
It got to a point where I basically told my classes, guys, we've been working on this project. I'm going to have to squeeze you into the tables even. And I would have to take 2 or 3 tables and line up and put the boards on there. Just to make the deadline of graduation, we would lay the tables on
I was going to ask you about that, because right there they're flat. Yeah.
They're flat on the tables, and they'd be like that, and the kids would come in anytime. They would do their assignment, run back to my room and paint. So I had it was like a workshop constantly. Part of the room was a workshop, and I would conduct class in the other.
What a beautiful way to create a social fabric of people and for me, I was a product of that too, but at CC Win. And I never before felt like connected to my school or community or even needed, because, the art skill is often looked as a luxury, but we need it. We need it to create. We need to see it in our hallways. We need to feel the vibrancy. And for people like you and Mr. Martinez back at Win, it's such a great feeling to feel needed. And I thank you for always finding ways, especially back then when it was even tighter, to make it happen. I love that. I saw something else that kind of stood out. Kimberly and I were looking at the photos. It was like, okay, well, where is this? Because we couldn't figure it out. So it was BO4. And then one of the images, it looks like they're being displayed. And we were like, is it CC Win? Because we were looking at the windows.
No.
It's like, no, that's not. And it's like, there was one image that proved it. It's like, we know exactly where it's at. The mall.
The mall.
The mall, because it was one chair that was tilted backwards, and literally painted the mall on it. Do you recall these guys?
Of course I do.
Who are they?
It's Blue Flores, None, Andrea Lopez, Santos Medrano, and Nick Limon. I just recently went to his wedding. No, I mean,
Awesome.
those kids are my
Beautiful.
kids. Yeah.
And those were the original 5 or 6-ish, give or take. I'm sure maybe some
It
might have been
originally
out.
started when this was already heading into their senior year. So when they were freshmen, I had them 4 years. But this was their senior year. And they were determined that they were going to have a mural because they had been doing it for that many years.
I remember doing it back when they used to let us do it for the breakthroughs. And again, talk about feeling connected and needed and represented, because everyone's different, as they should be. It's different. And I remember doing the breakthroughs those first few months and then working on the big project in the spring. There's this certain sense of catharsis seeing the final product, knowing this long-term project is going to be showcased not only at the mall, but there's some images here where it is. Could you tell us what was the history behind that, and how did it get started that they would actually go as backdrops in graduation? I think was this one already in graduation or no?
We would every year we would have a yearly art exhibit.
Okay.
And finding a venue was always a difficult part. But for many years we would do it at the what is now PNC or BBVA, but I'm not sure.
Yes.
Camino
Compass
Real,
Bank
or Compass Bank. Yeah. Back then they would lend us they had this room there, this area, and they would lend it to us. And so every year we would go and we would collect artwork. In fact, that's what I was looking at here.
Yeah.
The amount of work I would take pictures of all the pictures of, my student artwork.
Yeah.
I would take pictures of everything because we were all so proud of it. And because we had a full year course, it was just a lot more time to develop.
So those kids that's no longer the case. It's not a full year course.
No, it's a semester course.
The 2 9 weeks.
It's a 2
9
weeks.
only.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's 2 9 weeks. They come in, get their credit, and move
And then
along.
go along.
And back then we had them from August through May or June,
Yeah.
whenever. But so we would have a yearly art exhibit, and we kept doing that. And eventually, we went from Compass Bank. We went from there. We went to the mall. We were at the mall several years, but then eventually I guess the owners, they decided that it was liability issues. They wanted us to get an insurance for $1 million. It just got really, really difficult to do it.
Yeah.
And what was cool about it is the kids were very proud because they were exhibiting outside of school.
Yeah.
After it became impossible or very difficult to find a venue to have our exhibit outside of the school, we started having it at in the gym. But it wasn't the same vibe.
No, it's still on campus. Yeah, and that was unfortunately, I guess maybe back then there was more interest in the mall, more traffic, and they could easily be like, what's this community involvement? Maybe now, if y'all are listening, it would be good to have them. It would be good to have that community involvement and connection and reflection of the community's artwork and the involvement in education in the personal and private businesses. Wow. I think I remember seeing them. You know what? No, I do remember seeing them because I remember Frank Riojas was at one of them when there was like a Pizza Hut.
Yeah, we had at the Pizza
Remember that?
Hut place. Everybody was like, it smells like cheese. It's okay.
I love that. Yeah. I don't know. Hopefully we could bring that back or have some kind of something similar.
And I really think it was just management.
See,
management changed.
And it's been a long time, so maybe we could present it to them or something. I would love, if anything to help the arts and help the students see themselves. That would be cool. Oh, I wanted to ask you, in there, I noticed that the eagle was not the regular traditional bald eagle. It was what looks to me, I don't know if this was intentional. It looks like I don't know what the name of it is, but it's like a regular Mexican eagle, or the one. It's not the one with the white head. It's all brown and stuff like that. So, could you tell us about like the kids or you or just art or your interpretation, whether it was intentional or not? But like personally, when I see works of art and symbols that remind me, it's like, oh yeah, like, this is where we come from. This is some of the stuff we do. I thought that was a really neat inclusion to have that like what appears to be a Mexican eagle. Could you tell us about like the picking and stuff like that? I know you already kind of alluded to it.
You know what? We never really I never really thought or put that much thought into what type of eagle it was. We were just wanted it to represent us. I didn't really go specifically looking for a brown eagle, an American eagle, and nothing of the sort. We just wanted to make capture a good likeness of an eagle.
There you go. Okay.
And that's pretty much what it was. I think reading more into that particular,
wasn't that deep.
No,
Okay.
it didn't go that deep when it came to the eagle. It was more of like, this needs to look more realistic. Work on the feathers. It was more about the technique and the process of actually capturing the image.
The image
it's
itself.
Like, as realistic as possible, yeah.
Jeez, I love that. And I love the ass taking it, and it's nuts how it
But it definitely did. I mean, choosing, obviously a lot of the Mexican motif, it was about us identifying ourselves as Hispanic or Mexican American or whatever. It did definitely have something to do with it.
And I love that. I think one of the best things about art in general, whether it's intentional or subconscious or whatever, for kids to see themselves. And what's weird is, like, I've seen the I don't know if this is the right word, but the cheapening of art digitally. There's so much art out there, it loses its value in a weird way, and then they kind of spread that to like the real art, and then we forget, like, oh no, real art is different. Like NFTs are trying to make this thing, like digital stuff is like way cooler because it's the only one. It's like, you know what's the only one? The Mona Lisa. That's the only, and that's the one that has value and its scarcity and it increases. So for me, it's I don't know. I kind of want to raise awareness of art and art pieces and the value of them, and it's almost like a rallying cry of the people and the culture. And I've always seen, for me at least, student council, art club, and most importantly, the murals, the products of those clubs, a lot of those clubs, as a heartbeat of the culture of a school, and beyond all the regular stuff. It's like, what do we see? What do we hear? What do we usually? Is that us always? No, we're always changing. But it's nice to not forget our song and our story,
And I agree, and especially when it comes to the arts, they're overlooked. They are not appreciated. It's like at one point the kids were so happy to have their murals on display, and then one day they just were taken down, and it broke people's hearts. It was painful, and I'm just gonna be honest and say they literally took the murals to the building trades to recycle the wood.
Yeah.
I went out there and I said, bring it over to my room. I'll figure out what to do with it, because it just hurt me. Because nobody realizes the amount of time, effort, energy that went into creating these things. The months that we poured, literally stood on top of them painting. Yeah. Nobody will appreciate. It's like having a baby and saying, okay, now get rid of it. No.
Yeah.
We gave birth to these murals, and it was important to keep them going. It was, to me, it hurt me from the students that had dedicated so much time.
And the difficult thing is,
the right thing to do. There was no respect for that.
Yeah, and I feel that the further we go up north in Texas and then the great United States, the more you see more value in art and in history. But I don't know. I guess that's why I'm trying to have these discussions, so we can kind of immortalize certain parts of the story. Because together we have this historical amnesia. We forget, and when later on we won't even know that. Did we ever make murals? Was that ever even a thing?
Yeah.
Or did we just show up, do our handouts the whole year, and then do a state exam, and then repeat the following year and call that education alone? For me, as an educator of audio video, as an admirer and appreciation of art and history, I think these discussions are important. To just raise awareness, and mainly for those kids who want to do cool projects and murals, and that it's possible to put them out there, one, and then two, if we raise enough awareness, maybe collectively we could help others see the value in it. A lot of these people maybe thought they were just making room for something else, and they didn't see more the other perspectives. And so hopefully with programs like this, we could kind of discuss different perspectives. Everyone has their own point of view. Exactly. We're all trying to figure it out, and we're all flawed individuals who are trying to make the best choices for our community, and we're stumbling along the way, but I think our hearts are in the right place, and we're working along that. With those conditions.
I think it's important to realize, we have different types of students, and this, the arts service a particular type of student, or a part of the spectrum that maybe sometimes is not, being taken care of.
Yes.
you know,
That was me.
back in the day, it was, you know, it was the guys with the hair all over their face. It was the goth, the emo, the skaters, the kids who didn't care about school, who had zero school spirit. And all of a sudden, a spark was lit under, or a fire was lit under them or in them. And they all of a sudden cared about doing something for the school. And they were very proud. And that was important.
Absolutely.
And I think it's super important that we continue to do that.
Absolutely. I would not be here if I didn't think that there was a chance. I would rather, I don't know, I would be somewhere else, but you're absolutely right. I am here for those kids as well, for everyone, because everyone's different, and an appreciation of that. And just to spark the light and remind everyone of the beauty and possibilities that one can accomplish together with the students, with the teachers and the sponsors, and how we could all have like a unifying rallying cry of a campus saying, hey, let's service all of our kids, you know, every single one, as best as we can.
Exactly.
And these are those programs, and a lot of the times they just, you do them from the kindness of your heart because you want to do them, you know, and it's a beautiful thing. So there's there are other folders that I'd like to ask you about. It's going to take a while, so I might come back later and, you know, pick a different mural and discuss that. But before we go, and before I forget, do you all still keep in contact with those kids that did this specific mural? Have you
Yes,
heard?
I do.
You know, then the wedding and stuff like that.
Yes.
Anything that did anyone stick with art, or anyone come back and give to the community, or
You know what?
they go
My
out there?
original group of students, I have some, many of them went into, studied at North Texas, what is it, Dallas?
In Denton.
Denton.
Yes.
Yes, and so several of them, I'm not going to say a lot, they went into graphic arts and things. Right now, there's one particular student that sticks to mind is Jocelyn Riojas.
Okay.
She's
that sounds
actually at this
familiar.
moment illustrating a book for a writer, like a children's book. And she has a website and she sells her merchandise. I would like to bring her back, talk to her, and bring her back and say, hey, how about you do an exhibit for us here in Eagle Pass and show us what you've done? Because there is a future in art.
Absolutely.
But you really do need to be, I mean, you have to go out there.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to study art and come back to Eagle Pass, then you can take my job. But you know, if you want to be an artist, that's what I always tell them. You need to just go out there. And she's done it. She's one of those that said, I'm striking out on my own, and she's had a pretty, you know, interesting career, and it's quite successful, I think.
That is awesome. I would like later on to get those media handles and see where she's at. And because my kids, we overlap. Your kids and my kids, the AV club and the AV class and art club and art classes overlap. We've been trying to work together. Maybe we could piece it together and stack something up so that we could bring her over, or at least kind of maybe do a video call or something and see the work and promote it. And for sure I could add all of the media handles to this episode on the bottom before we publish it. And more kids need to know that that's a possibility, and seeing them and knowing, oh yeah, they used to sit right over there, or they used to walk these halls, and we give each other permission to be successful and to be brave and courageous in any form or fashion, whatever our career paths are, or whatever way we want to face life in. And having those examples is great, and I hope as we keep going forward, we could focus on more kids and bring them over and highlight them and recognize their success and share their success.
Well, I'm excited for this project, and I'm willing, I'm here to help you anyway.
Awesome. Thank you so
super
much,
excited.
Mrs. Rodriguez.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you. Have a good one.
Ándale, sí.